One of the things that when we were talking about neighborhood bridges to begin with, one of the things that attracted me to it more than anything was the fact that the connection could be made quickly between a need that we in our community and a donor. We have a great community, really generous community, but sometimes they didn't know how to give. So this provided a way for them to know how to give and what to give, and it was genuinely a need meeting, a solution being provided for a specific need, which in turn makes people more prone to give the next time.
As a counselor, Neighborhood Bridges has allowed me the freedom of not worrying about my students quite as much as I usually do. Typically, when I know that they have a need before Neighborhood Bridges, I would worry about how to get that need met for them so that they could be their best. And now I just have to worry about helping them once we get the need filled. I first learned about Neighborhood Bridges when I was driving home from Montgomery. I was at a meeting at the State Department, and I heard about it on Rick and Bubba, a local radio show in Alabama.
Neighborhood Bridges has made a huge impact on individuals in our community, not just children, but families and the elderly. Our community has reacted beyond belief to me, because they've met so many needs, and they are quick on the spot to help children, to make sure they have fees to play intramural football, school football, participate in band programs, eye exams, helped an elderly couple with an air conditioning repair. We couldn't ask for a better community, and Ardmore Neighborhood Bridges has helped bridge that gap between our community and the schools, and even some of our medical professionals that have made recommendations for needs. We've reached out. Johnson Elementary is a feeder school for Ardmore, and Cedar Hill Elementary is a feeder school for Ardmore. And so we have 2 elementary schools, a middle school and a high school, and the impact is unbelievable.
I would say that how we would improve that, or make it a bigger population of people that want to be a part of it, is to have employers, especially in this area. There are a lot of needs that need to be filled. The company I work for has a program called Coda Cares that where I was leading it for the last couple of years, and it was this program was the top billet for all 4 of those sessions. So we're able to do the things that are interesting, not so much, it's geared towards the kids, but I think the thing I like the most is the other portion of the population, that 75%. There's been many opportunities that Miss Yolanda has been able to pitch and actually get the right things at the right time for the right people.
The thing about Neighborhood Bridges, why I wanted to support it, why I wanted my family to support it, was I feel like it is a bridge between church or between school, between those needs that someone in the community might not know about. I feel like it's a wonderful bridge between churches and filling those needs for the families that may not have a church to help them with that need.
I would just like to say how honored that I am to be a part of this program here in Ardmore. I think it's one of the best things this community has ever done. And as a retired educator, I just wish we had had something like this back when I was in the classroom, because those were the days when teachers reached into their pocketbooks and tried to help kids as much as they could. And, there were a lot of kids that didn't get the help they deserved. And I just think this is an absolutely wonderful program, and I'm behind it 100%.
One way I have seen Neighborhood Bridges affect a student is I had a student one time who needed a new pair of shoes. Actually his toes were coming through the end of his shoes, and I put the need Neighborhood Bridges. The next day, by the end of the day, he had a new pair of shoes, and just the look on his face, I heard him mutter to himself that he had never had a new pair of shoes, and I remember thinking, how I take that feeling of a new pair of shoes for granted as a person, and how that totally changed the outlook of that child's self-esteem, because he now had a new pair of shoes that were his own.
We had a student, as he was walking down the hallway, and I noticed that the sole of his shoe was flopping. And so I had just met with Neighborhood Bridges and learned about Neighborhood Bridges, and so I submitted the need, and the next morning he had a new pair of shoes. And just how excited he was. It's like, I have a new pair of shoes. And so the needs that students have that we don't necessarily realize that they need until it's brought to our attention, or it makes us look at, be more focused on looking at, oh, what do our students need? So a huge difference for me, and a mindset for me that we need to look more closely at what our kids need. Before I have been at some other elementary schools, and we have not had Neighborhood Bridges, and so I would say to any new principals that it makes a huge impact in the lives of the students, and it's a great way to bridge the community. It's a great way to bridge churches. It's a great way to bridge people who would normally not help out schools just because they don't know the needs. And so that's kind of what I would say.